Hello, everybody. This is Phil Rose's podcast. This podcast is created for women by women to elevate women's voices. I am really sorry because it's been about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks since my last mini-series episode. I was trying to do them consistently. And then for some reason, well, actually, I know why, but in the last 2 weeks, just things got away from me. And you've heard me say it before, I'm a huge advocate of giving yourself grace, and sometimes things have to be let go. And unfortunately for me, that meant I wasn't able to record a solo episode like I usually like to. So we have a little bit of catching up to do. So first things first, addressing like what pulled me. To be perfectly honest, nothing in specific or in particular changed or happened, but I suddenly became overwhelmed. I've been talking to you guys a little bit about anxiety and how I have anxiety and what I do to maintain and deal. Sometimes I'm not so great at that, right? And like, that's all of us. Sometimes we fail at trying to maintain our mental health and our anxiety and whatever else is bothering us. And to be perfectly honest, that's okay. Dust yourself off. We try again tomorrow. Like, that's really the big thing here, is that no one is perfect. No one is perfectly managing their stress. Nobody is perfectly doing anything. Even the people at the top of the top, you see like these people with all this money, or people that, seem to have these really great jobs, or this and that, the next thing. Everybody has stress. Everybody has something that they need to deal with that's not pleasant for them. And we all do it in different ways. So, with my anxieties, I want to say for the last week, and this is probably also because it was my menstrual cycle as well, my anxiety was like through the roof. And not just my anxiety. I texted my cousin and was like, during this time of the month, I am, it's like a bundle of like emotions. At any point in time, I can be crying from joy, enraged, or like on the verge of divorce in my head. Like, nothing's really happening in real life. Nothing's happening around me, but my mind like runs away with itself, and I kind of just have to like deal with what I'm dealing with. So the past week and a half, 2 weeks roughly, my anxieties have started to really just go up. Now, I know what a lot of this is. I know that it comes from a place where I was feeling really anxious last year quite a bit. And so when I transitioned over to my new role and my new job, those anxieties are still with me. Just because I'm in a new place in my life doesn't mean that any of the old anxieties have gone away. It just means I have to actually address them and deal with them now and try to get them back to normal. That is applicable to pretty much all anxieties. If you found that in your early 20s, you were intensely anxious, or you had to go on medication, you were depressed, you had an eating disorder, you were in an abusive relationship, like all these things, if they have happened to you, or anything really, any trauma, anything that has happened to you, if it's not dealt with, if you do not face it and you just tuck it away, at some point down the line, it is going to bubble up again. So it's best to just deal with it when you can, and when you feel like you're ready for it, just address it. So my anxiety is around not being good enough at work, and failing at work, and feeling like I'm not doing what I should be doing, or I'm not delivering what I should be delivering, that I should be doing better. I am my own worst critic consistently. Now, not one person has said this to me recently. Everyone seems very pleased with me and my performance. But nevertheless, in my head, I attack myself consistently. Jenny, you should have replied to this differently. Jenny, you should have been more on top of this. Jenny, next time you got to do this better. I'm actually curious, like, and I would love to hear from some of you. Am I the only loony bin here that is constantly in my head judging myself? But that's also part of it too. I know that that's me in my head judging myself. So in any case, the last 2 weeks have been intense, not because of anything happening, but because of me in my head. So there's that. Now, the last week, because again, my cycle, so my hormones were kind of enraged. I was getting very like nitpicky with my husband about him stepping in and like helping me with the kids, with like running them around for activities and just like doing stuff with them in general. Now I take the load, like I take the brunt of taking them to different activities and doing things with them, mostly because the activities that I'm running around to are for my twins, for the girls, and it's girly activities. And my husband very much is like, no. He steps up for our son for sure. And if he needed to, he would do it for the girls, but he doesn't want to be sitting at a dance studio waiting for his daughter. So like, honestly, some of you might be like kind of shaking your heads like, oh, just tell him to do it anyway. I let it slide. It's one of those things that as his wife, I get it. I understand. I'm not going to press unless I really need to, because I'm like, what's the point? He doesn't really want to do it. Doesn't really bother me unless I really need help. So this past week, all of a sudden in my head, I'm enraged. I'm like, you don't help. You need to do something. You need to take them. You need to do something. You have to help with some of the runarounds. But part of the problem is kind of what I just explained to you. I never ask for help with the running around of things. Like I actually quite enjoy being involved in all their activities and I like doing it. But the times that get stressful for me is when I have outside obligations. And that's when I'm like naturally like, oh, just step in. But unless you specifically tell your husband and or partner, hey, can you step in? If you have always been the one to step in and do everything, how can you expect your partner to just know that you need them to help? There is no actual way for your partner to read your mind. Now, some of you may in your head right now be saying, yeah, but he or she is there. They see me struggling, like, or they see that I'm stressed out. They should just step in. I'm going to be honest with you, especially for men, outside of like the male-female dynamic relationship, I'm not sure if it's any different, but I know for male-female marriage, I feel like the male is going to just be like kind of not focusing in there or not aware. That's not the right way to say it. Oh, like they're aware. They're not dumb, but they just don't look at things the same way that we do. They just don't. I have in my head at all times like 150 things that I'm supposed to be doing. I don't really see that with men. Like I just don't. So, and I've heard from other moms that, they see the same things in their husbands, that, they have to be pressed a little bit. So if you are feeling frustrated, press. Say, hey, you need to do something here. Now, the reason why this is top of mind, the reason why I'm rambling about this is because today I pressed. Now, I was super stressed out. I do live productions for folks. Like I'm the woman behind the curtain, and I will produce people's live series. So today I had a live series that I was producing, and I'm always anxious on production day. Production day is the day that something launches. I'm always anxious on production day, always. Professionally, in my daytime job and my podcast job, always anxious about it. Now, today, I also happen to have to be obligated to do something for my kids' religious classes. And it was kind of bumping right up against when I'd be doing this live broadcast. So all week, I think this was also adding to it too, I was getting really hypersensitive and stressed out about having to deal with that today. Everything went fine. It all went off without a hitch. But that didn't mean I was going to let go the fact that I wanted my husband to do something with the kids. Because again, 9 times out of 10, it's me doing the things. So I pressed. And I pressed a little bit hard. And he took the kids out. And they're doing an activity together. And they're, going to the park and doing things that he likes to do with the kids. I think that I know he did it because I basically pressed him for it. And he's older than me, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't press too much, but it's so good to see that with him, with the kids, because they don't get that really valuable one-on-one time as much as they get with me. And them having that exposure to him in a more fun way is really important to me, because most of the time he's like the bad guy who has to discipline them because I don't always do that. So it's good for them to be able to have a moment with him where it's fun and they're just like having a good time. And that's actually part of the reason why I'm recording right now, is because I pressed and I kicked everybody out of the house and I did a little bit of straightening up like how I'd wanted to. And now I'm out running errands and going to pick up some fresh produce. I just started juicing recently. So I'm like leaning into that really heavily. And, I'm just kind of having alone time, which is also, obviously if I'm having alone time, I need to talk to you guys. But it's important that solo time as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, you need to have a minute where you can just breathe and you can't feel guilty about it. And let me tell you, my children begged me to come with them. They begged. They were, please, mommy, just come with us, please. All the way up until they were getting in the car, continued begging. And I had to, at this point, just say no. I had to put my foot down and say, no, just go with your father. It's fine. Like, it's okay. He can handle it. Like nothing's going to happen. So little lesson today. If you are finding that you are frustrated, 1, don't wait for your husband to read your mind. That's not going to ever happen, and you're just going to build resentment. 2, take the opportunity. Don't feel guilty, and take that important time to be by yourself for a little bit. I hope to be back to regular recordings for my little Minisode episodes in the upcoming weeks, and I'm appreciative of all of you. I hope you've been enjoying the guest episodes. They're running every single Sunday, all the way through June. Really, really interesting guests are there for you. And I've been having some intro calls. I actually may be scheduling guest episodes past June because there's so many people interested in being on the podcast. So just stay tuned. And I appreciate all of you so much. I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.